This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 10, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube. And I'm Rick Snyder.
Now, Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of my mighty Rick Snyder's Washington network. So hit the thanks button. That'll help get Matt paid.
The Rick Snyder Empire.
Right, growing ever forward.
Yes.
Weekend show, we always just pick the game first so people don't have to keep listening. I'm going Atlanta 24, Washington 21.
Ooh.
Atlanta's the two favorite.
I'm going to go. Yeah, and they just traded for they just made a trade today for a wide receiver. I'll say this. Desmond Ridder had a heck of a game last week because I was able to watch football on Sunday. I don't think he can do that again. I'm going to say Washington 20, Atlanta 13.
Wow, you're expecting the defense to show up. And
they got their butts kicked. They're giving up 40 points a game. Hopefully they got their butts kicked after a 10-game break.
Well, they had 4 games in a row that given 30 plus. So
yeah, and they've had a 10-day break between the Chicago Bears and Atlanta Falcons games. You know, hey, Rick, I think we're getting put into a conundrum where game 1 we're sitting there saying Chase Young re-signed Montez Sweat. Who showed up the last 3 games? It's been Chase. Chase has been the only one applying pressure and showing up in the backfield.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I just don't know if they quite have it. What happens on these 10-day breaks is after Thursday night's game, the coach says, I'll see you all Monday. So go away for the weekend. You try not to think about it. Somebody was complaining they saw a couple of players laughing when they met their family in the parking lot. That's just pain and nervousness talking. You don't know players.
Right.
If you don't know why they're doing that. You know, they're just trying not to cry. So,
right, exactly.
Through the pain. That's literally what they do. And then they come back Monday, it's a light day, and then they start Wednesday really practicing. So they just put it behind them. They're really good about doing that. But
I'll say this too, Rick. Over the past couple seasons, when this team has been pretty much been knocked to the mat, what happens? They lose 1 or 2 key players on defense. They've lost Derek Forrest for a while. They've lost Jeremy Reeves for a while. All of a sudden, these guys come out of nowhere, and the defense is way better. And we sit there and they think, well, why is the defense better with the starter hurt and the backup coming in or some guy off the street coming in? Well, they're getting more reps. They're getting first-team reps. They're getting a more understanding of the defense. And that's when they perform. And that's kind of what I see is going to happen. Do we see Taylor Heineke for Atlanta? That'll be interesting. If Ridder goes out there and maybe throws a couple picks, do we get to see Taylor time? There's a lot of stories with this game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, unfortunately, but who knows? I mean, hopefully the Commanders defense can actually perform like they were slated to be at the beginning of the season.
Losing Defoe, you would say, well, Defoe's not one of their stars, but actually Defoe is one of their stars. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling I haven't heard the final word yet, but I think he's out for the year.
Did he have a separated shoulder or was that Reeves?
Yeah, that's Reeves. Well, no, okay. Yeah. So, and Reeves, I think that he's saying on, was it Instagram or whatever, he's fine. So he'll probably just miss 4. But I think Defoe's going to miss some time. I think he's going to miss probably the rest of the year.
Which that's a guy last year that came out of nowhere. That's a guy that came out of nowhere and all of a sudden started picking balls off, and we're riding on the back of Defoe to victories.
And Percy Butler, I think Percy Butler got better. I watched him in the summer a lot. Not ready for prime time per se, but I think he's gotten better. And then Quan Martin, I haven't seen a whole lot out of Quan Martin, to be honest. And that goes to this draft class. What a bust. I mean, it's too early to say that, but yet they haven't played. I mean, you got one guy playing out of your whole draft class.
Yeah.
That's possible. And he's got benched. Emmanuel Forbes got benched late in the game again. This is why I don't like 166-pound corners. They get knocked off the line with the other guy.
But
And
I'll play devil's advocate with you on that one. Forbes getting benched, he's the scapegoat. The Rook is the scapegoat in that case, because you can point to any person on that 11-man defense and say, you were the reason that we lost.
Yeah, he's not the reason they lost, but he is. He's going to have ups and downs, and that's just going to happen with young corners. When you get beat bad. It's a bad position like that.
Because you got a veteran like Kendall Fuller that got beat by DJ Moore for a touchdown as well.
Right. I mean,
Kendall Fuller's not getting benched because he's the vet.
If you're a first-round defensive lineman and you get beat, it's not 6 points.
Right.
Corners are naked and afraid. So he'll be okay. He's got good instincts. He can't teach. They need to bulk him up. He's going to have some rough moments. Everybody in the NFL has rough moments their first year. I don't care if you're the ball boy or a guy covering a team. Everybody has to learn in the first year around the NFL.
Yeah, and we can't always just point the fingers. Like I said, I feel like he's being scapegoated for this thing because St. Juice does not look the same as he did last year before the injury. Kendall Fuller does not look the same as he did last year or the year before. This defense has regressed. We don't know why. I can tell you it's probably due to the lack of pressure that is getting put on the quarterback. But, and I'm sorry, but whatever the kid is that they brought in, Barton was not an upgrade from Cole Turner. He was not even a lateral movement from Cole Turner. He is a step down from Cole Holcomb. Jamin Davis has shown flashes here and there, but that's a first. Rick, you got 6 first-round draft picks that are starting on this defense.
Yeah,
and it's like and high first-round draft picks that are starting on this defense, and none of them are really producing aside from Deron Payne and John Allen.
Maybe some of them shouldn't have really been high first-round picks.
And that's what we talked about with Jamin Davis when he was selected.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten better, and hopefully he'll get better. But yeah, and the running game, I don't understand this running game at all anymore. Gibson's getting a little bit of touches. That's fine. That's where he belongs. But Robinson's they call it a bell cow. Is that what it is? You can just run behind the guy. But I mean, the line's not blocking great. But he hasn't, aside that 15-yard touchdown run, I haven't seen much out of him. But they've, aside from established the run early. First 2 games, they ran the first play up the middle for a yard. I mean, it's like, dude, come on, you be a little more creative than that until having your guy just go. But I haven't seen anything, and they got to get that running game going some. You just can't throw the ball all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I tell you, obviously, this is going to be a stark comparison, but I watched the Cowboys 49ers game the other night. That 49ers offensive line is elite. Trent Williams. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line is elite. I mean, we don't have that. Look, Charles Leno is a nice guy. He's got a really good reputation on Twitter, but he can't block. You know what I mean? I don't know why they wasted their money on that guy from Kansas City. The best offensive lineman has been the guy that they got from the Giants. Their offensive line is just in such shambles, and I don't understand how. Ron Rivera played defense. He played linebacker. He knows how important an offensive line is. And to not address the offensive line with a first-round draft pick or a high pick even in the second, I still don't understand that mentality.
Yeah, the second rounder, definitely. The first rounder, I think 4 offensive tackles were now gone, and it just wasn't a guy that was worth taking then. Sorry, but the second round, you definitely should have. They haven't done jack in second rounds. Been so long. How many bad players and things have they had in the second round? Didn't do anything. You're throwing away a pick that should be a starter. And they just, I'll say on the line, Cosme hasn't given up a sack yet. I'll give him that. But next year, let's say Eric Bieniemy is the head guy next year. Are you, and their first round pick comes up, somewhere 10 to 15. You could probably take an offensive tackle, but he just brought Andrew Wiley with him from Kansas City. That kind of a little weird there about, do I want to trust you with that? But I would like to think a GM will be picking it.
I mean, and realistically too, all they did was they replaced Andrew Norwood or Norwell or whatever his name was. This guy, they're the same guy. They're the same player,
Yeah. And you need, next year's draft, it's either going to be a quarterback, and I didn't say I wanted a quarterback. I'm saying it because I've said before that want a shiny new toy to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's either that, although at 10 to 15, that's hard to do, but okay, maybe. Or it's got to be an offensive tackle. I don't care if the next Dale Green's coming through the door. You're taking an offensive tackle. You have to.
You have to address the biggest need on this team. They're not in the position to draft best player available anymore. They're in the position to draft for need.
Yeah, and you know what? Best player available is a classic lie, because it's always, you never want to say, I really like this guy and I'm going for this guy and we're filling a need, because the coach speak is always about the other way around. But they're lying through their teeth on that. The lie is it was a group pick. That's a lie too. So, you know, these guys are always afraid to stick their reputations out there for fear it fails. Now, if it does well, then you'll hear the revisionist story come in of, I really liked them and they didn't. But, everybody has their own ego on these things. But you've got to go offensive tackle. There's nothing wrong with picking need, like that. Right now, Chicago has the first 2 picks in the draft. All right, the first one's going for the quarterback, and you can sell Fields to somebody else on there and trade them. And the second pick they have is an offensive tackle. And you say, wow, you could spend that second pick for a lot of capital. But you know what? You get 2 stud players at the top, take them. Just take them. Versus
look at what the Eagles have done. Look at what the Eagles did. The Eagles got 2 stud defensive players this year in the draft because they had low picks. I mean, they're built. We got the Alabama wall. They're building the Georgia wall. I mean, that's what you do. Good teams are not going to mortgage or trade back to get 1,000 picks in the 7th round. We've lucked out with a 7th rounder in Cam Curl. I get that, but Cam Curls and Sam Howell, those players aren't out there every draft. Look how many times they've drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, and the guy's either on practice squad or is no longer in the league anymore.
So Friday begins the NHL season here in Washington, and the Caps play against the dreaded Pittsburgh Penguins, of which you love.
Yes.
So I don't know, Jack, about this. So what are the Caps supposed to do this year?
I'll be honest with you. The Capitals' main objective is to have Ovi break Gretzky's record.
Can he do it this year?
He could do it this year, but more than likely it's going to be next year. The Capitals' main objective is to keep Ovechkin healthy, have him score goals. That way next year he can break the record.
Yeah, because you saw Ovi translated for another pick they just got, and the guy said, yeah, I was 1 year old when you started playing. Ovi's like, God, I'm old. But Ovi's he's like 37, which I'm sure is old for NHL players.
Mm-hmm.
But
not if you're Jaromir Jagr. Jaromir Jagr is still playing over in the Czech Republic.
I don't know how good their hockey is, but okay.
Well, he's playing for the team that he owns. So,
he's probably like 45 now or something.
Who, Jagr?
Yeah,
I want to say Jagr is almost 50.
Wow.
Let me look it up. I'll look it up for you. But
whatever. So will the Caps make the playoffs this year?
Unfortunately, I think there are too many young, good teams ahead of both the Penguins and the Capitals. I think one of the guys I follow on Twitter that I like a lot, I'll give him a shout out. His name's Ted Starkey. He projected the Caps to finish 9th and the Penguins to finish 10th, I think, in the Eastern Conference.
Wow.
There's a lot of teams ahead of them that are young and have invested a lot of capital and a lot of draft into their teams. Being Toronto, you still have got Tampa. Tampa's going to take a step back, but they're still good. I mean, the Rangers have taken a big step forward. Carolina, New Jersey, there may not be enough room at the top for these guys. Maybe the Caps and Pens can squeak into the playoffs, but I don't know. Our 16-year run to the playoffs came to an end last year. And honestly, I don't know what to expect out of this guy Carberry. I know the Hershey Bears transplant to the Capitals worked before with Boudreaux and with Dale Hunter. Well, Dale was in London, but anyway, that guy has worked out in the past. But I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know what his philosophy is. I don't know what his mentality is, and I don't know how he's going to coach these guys up. There's been a lot of changeover on the Caps roster, along with the Penguins roster as well. I mean, the Pens went out and made the big splash for Erik Karlsson, and it's kind of like that last run at the playoffs. So I don't know. It might be a bad year for both teams.
And of course, Monumental Sports announced that they'll have their own streaming app, and you can pay them directly instead of your cable company. And
only if you live in Maryland, DC, and Virginia.
I just laughed and I was like, "Are they still on the regular cable?" Yeah. Okay, fine. See you. I'm not paying $10 a month when it's on the regular cable. Now I know everybody cut their cords.
I was gonna say that's for cord cutters. It's not for guys like you and me that have Comcast and DirecTV and such.
Ted's been working on this 5-10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, well, maybe the Caps will be something to watch. I know it ain't going to be the Wizards. But
that's why Ted wants those Nationals so bad. He wants another team to add to his network.
I just wish he could find winning teams and stuff. Ted's gotten a pass because of Dan Snyder. But I think people are going to finally start focusing on him and saying, "Why aren't you winning?"
Okay, well, quick question as a casual observer. Has the good faith from 2018 already run out?
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, listen, Commanders lost all that good faith in 2 weeks.
But that's the number one team in the league or in the city. You know what I mean?
But you didn't get.
But the Caps were in existence for 40 years, and they finally won a Stanley Cup. And after 5 years, the good faith of winning a Stanley Cup has already fallen off.
Yes, because the 2 weeks of a new owner and the Commanders is already gone.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm not going to argue with you. This is a rough sports town. You've lasted 40 years in this city, but yeah, I mean, in the Wizards, they stink. The Mystics won a championship a couple years ago and everybody forgot about it.
Now you know why I have scars. Rick Snyder.
All right, Papa Roach.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.